In this lecture, we will learn about Python's read, readline, and redlines functions. This lecture is all about reading text from a file. First, let's import the OS module at the top of the code. We need this module so that we can change the current working directory to our desktop. Let's use the chdr command to change the current working directory to our desktop so that the file we create and work with can be easily viewed, opened, and found on our desktop. Now we need to create the text file we will be working in this lecture. We will have a variable named file, which we will set equal to opening hi.txt in W mode, which is write mode. This will allow us to create the file if it doesn't exist on our machine. Let's run the code so that the file is created on our computer. Then we will go to our desktop and manually open the file. Now we are going to add some text to our file. Let's add the text, "This is the first line" on line 1. This is the second line on line 2. This is the third line on line 3, and goodbye on line 4. Don't forget to save and close the file after you add the text. Let's change the mode that we open the file in to R+. The first function we are going to learn about is Python's read function, which allows us to read the entire contents of the file into a string. Basically, we get back one big string with all of the text in the file when we use the read function. For this example, we will have a variable named text, which we will set equal to file.read. Then we will print out text. When we run the code, notice that the entire contents of the file was printed to the console. Note that we can also pass in a number to the read function, which will allow it to read the specified number of characters from the file, or until the end of the file is reached, and return it as a string. The next function we will learn about is the redlines function. Redlines will read the whole file and return a list of lines. As opposed to getting back one big string with the contents of the file, like we did with the read function, we will instead get a list with each of the lines in our file as a string in the list. Since there are 4 lines in our file, there will be 4 strings in the list, each that contains the contents of one of the lines. The first step is to create a variable, which we will name lines, and set it equal to file.readlines. Then we will create a count variable and set it equal to 0. After that, we will have a for loop for line and lines. Inside of this for loop, we will print out the line with the count, which will be the line number, and then we will print the content of the line next to it. After that, we will increment the count variable by using the plus equals operator. When we run the code, you will notice that each of the lines is numbered, and the content of the line is printed next to the number. The third function we will learn about is the readline function. Readline allows us to read a single line from the file and return it as a string. For example, let's create a variable L and set it equal to file.readline. Then we will print out L to the Pycharm console. When we run the code, notice that only one line of the file, the first line, was printed to the console. The readline function only reads in one line from the file, as the name implies. This function is usually used with a for loop so that we can cycle through the file and obtain one line at a time. That is a look at the read, readlines, and readline functions in Python. In the next lecture, we will learn about Python's write function.